We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
with global pals. It's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast, the podcast where we talk about
everything theater. And I finally got myself in the chair and we're ready. Hi, I'm Benita Zahn.
And I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And we are really excited. We got a last minute wonderful interview with Shafiq Hicks, and he plays Tom Collins in Rent, which is coming through. It's the 20th anniversary, final, last of its kind. We're coming through tour, and they're going to be at Proctor's on February 11th and 12th. Shafiq, hi there.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
We are so excited that it all worked out, right down to because you guys are on the road.
Yes, yeah. We just landed 2 hours ago in Greensboro, North Carolina. So here we are.
And we're talking to Shafiq on today's the 3rd, right? Yeah, I'm double checking. February just sort of jumped up on us. Talk to us a little bit. Shafiq, you're still in school. You're at Temple. You've got a lot going on in your own life besides being out on tour. You doing vocal lessons. You're working with students. So give us the 411 and how you landed in the tour.
Sure. So, like you said, I was in school back in 2019. And I randomly, just on a whim, because I promised myself, like in my junior year of college, I'd go out and start auditioning so that way I'd have a job and be able to use my, voice performance degree when I got out. So I decided to go up to New York, audition for a show. It was Kinky Boots, but it was just like an EPA call for like a production company or a casting company. So I was like, yeah, let me go and audition. I had no intentions of booking it at all, and I did not, thank God. So I then get a call like some weeks later saying like, hey, Rent is on tour and we're looking for a new Tom Collins. Would you be down to audition? And I was like, of course, yes. They sent me the sides and the callback material. And the funny thing is, so a week later, I call them back. So I'm like wondering like if I got it or not, because this is like the beginning of my career, high key, at least for me. They were like, no, sorry, we decided to go with someone who did it the last tour or like a previous tour. And I was like, okay, that's fine, whatever. You get more no's than you get yeses anyway. And then they called me back, I think like a month before the show started. And they were just like, hey, we would love to have you. The other guy can't do it. Would you be able to come? You are always our first choice, like after. And I was like, yes, of course, I would love to come. And I was just elated. I got off the phone, literally cried for like a good 10 minutes because, this is a dream role. I've wanted to play this role all the time. So being able to do it like to this capacity is just amazing.
This is an iconic show. And if people are not, if you sort of forgot, you're the partner with Angel. And, your reviews have been just lovely. You're just turning in a poignant and a caring performance. And, they love you. They just, everything we've read is you really just slaying it city to city. And do you guys read your reviews or do you not? Is there, some companies are, no one's taken a look. Ellen and I have been in a show where we don't discuss them.
Yeah. I mean, our director, Evan Enzyme, who, has been with the show since, almost its inception, tells us, don't read the reviews, like, don't do it. Because, with the ins and outs of shows, like, no one really knows what's going on, what the direction is, what the intention of the direction is. And sometimes the critics don't really get that, and then just go off of, what they know or their specific opinion on shows or how they think they would have directed it. So they advise us not to like look at the reviews. Sometimes if it pops up on my thing, or if I can use it for like, an interview or something like that, or a resume builder, then I'll look at them. But pretty rarely I'll look at them because I'm like, they still, if they're good or bad, I'm just there to tell the story, to do this job, and to, give 100% every night to the audiences. The audiences are really the ticket, and we love our audiences here.
Shafiq, clearly you're young.
Yeah.
About maybe the same age the show is.
Yeah, a little younger. So I'm 23 right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but
Ella and I are both pulling the knives out of our chests.
I know. I still remember the first time I saw Rent. I was in middle school, and it was before it was like really huge. So I memorized all the lyrics and like was singing them when no one else knew what Rent really was. And my mom had to stop me and say, "Please stop singing some of these lyrics," because I didn't know what a lot of them meant.
Right.
Je la BBOM.
I was a little bit older and I did know what they meant.
Yeah, right. It's an awakening.
So were you very familiar? I mean, clearly, you study musical theater, but were you intimately familiar with this show? And what did it mean? And if so, what did it mean for you, Shafiq?
My story with the discovery of the show is, it's always been a staple in the musical theater community. I am primarily a vocalist, but I do a lot of musical theater work. My degree is coming degree is in voice performance. So, I'm from like opera world, classical world, and then my behind the scenes is like gospel, jazz, all that other stuff. But again, it's such a staple in the musical theater community. You can't touch the musical theater community without knowing Seasons of Love, 525,600 minutes. So when I got to high school, I really like delved deep into it. My friend showed me the movie version of it and was like, this role Tom Collins, like you could definitely play. So I watched the movie, fell in love with it, watched the show, like little Broadway performance, like the last Broadway performance, fell in love with it all over again. And yeah, that's been my relationship with, I love the show. I love the story. I love just everything about it, how the characters are so unapologetic about who they are, how everyone's beautiful in their own way and their beauty gets to show throughout the show exceptionally. So yeah, all of those things like drew me to this amazing show.
It's been a challenge to be on the road, and this was start and stop for you, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Because of COVID, yeah.
Yeah, they shut us down in March 1st. We were in Denver, I remember, because we did a weekend in Denver, I think a 5-show weekend in Denver. And then at first they told us that they canceled the Tokyo portion of our show. And then we were just going to come and finish the last leg like towards May and June. And then the day after we finished the show, they were like, hey, the entire tour is canceled. We all have COVID. Like, COVID's everywhere right now, so we can't like risk it. And that was literally the day that Broadway shut down, all the tours shut down. So I kind of saw it coming with like the way that the virus was moving through the world. So we stopped, and then again got the call in I think July of 2021 to say, hey, we're going back on tour. We're going to be one of the first tours to go back on tour alongside, a couple other shows. So it's going to be very experimental, but we want to get you guys back out here. We want to get you guys back in work. We want to get the story, to be finally told for the last time, the 25th anniversary farewell tour. And of course, you would be the cast. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. The cast is the same from last time, or we have a couple different faces, but mostly the same faces. So please just come back and let's do it. So that's kind of how that happened. Yeah.
And you're coming into our area, Schenectady, up at Proctor's for 2 nights only. Is that pretty typical? Like just 2 nights and then you guys are out to somewhere new?
Yeah, with this specific leg of the tour, we're doing a lot of 2-nighters, 3-nighters, sometimes full weekends, maybe a weekend, maybe a full week if we're lucky. But yeah, we're just like stopping by all the cities for a little, like a brief, more brief time than regular.
So how much downtime is there in that tour schedule? Or is it pretty much performing, traveling?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's the gig. You know, performing, traveling, hop on a bus at 8 a.m., get to the hotel, have 2 hours to like literally throw down your life, hop on a bus, go to the theater, do the show for 3 hours, come on back, get up the next morning and start all over again. And that's kind of like the process. Like whenever we do have days like weekend long sits or like week sits, those are the days where we can really unpack, unwind, stay a while, you know, that whole thing. And kind of rest a little bit more than we would actually rest. But, you know, with everything going on right now, we're just like 2-3 nights, 2-3 nights, 2-3 nights. And that's a pattern.
Mm-hmm. How do you take care of yourself on that kind of a grueling schedule, especially with the backdrop of COVID?
Just being very careful, being very aware of surroundings. We call it a tour bubble that we're in. So we're just kind of like making sure that we're safe. So not a lot of us are like going out into bars or partying or doing anything that we would normally do, you know, while on tour, seeing sights and things like that. We kind of have to like kind of draw it back, you know, always making sure we're wearing masks, making sure everyone's vaxxed. And at this point in time, we're making sure people are boosted as well, or at least attempting to get it. And yeah, and as far as just health goes in general, making sure we're drinking a lot of fluids, making sure we're getting as much rest as we possibly can, actively stretching. For me personally, because Tom Collins is such a heavy emotional role, meditation and just prayer and making sure I'm connected with my breath is really important. And yeah, just loving on each other constantly. The cast is really a close-knit cast. Like we all love each other dearly. And how can't you with this, you know, specific show? And it definitely reads on stage as well that we all do love and adore each other.
25th anniversary. Yeah, I was going to say 25th anniversary. You know, is there a special, an extra sense of responsibility to the show?
There's always been a sense of responsibility, especially for me, and the legacy that Jesse O. Martin like started with, you know, starting this role off. And also the audiences. Like, again, I love our audiences. We call them rent heads lovingly. They call themselves rent heads actually. And they love the show. They are die-hard fans. I think of like all these fans for like shows like Hamilton that come and show up, like lines out the door, all of that. That was the case back in the day, and that's still the case today. So that responsibility of making sure these audiences get to see the show and making sure we're telling it in an appropriate and timely way is very important to me. So I definitely feel all of that weight on my shoulders and do not take that lightly at all.
Now, maybe I'm just not familiar with the term, but I've never heard anybody label a tour as a farewell tour of, you know, this is it. This is our last tour we're going to do. I don't know if either of you can speak to that of, you know, that situation of, you know, will Rent tour again one day?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it outside anything. Like the farewell tour is just this type of tour with this specific cast, specific production team, specific creatives, like everything specific to this tour is the farewell. So it's a farewell tour of the 20th anniversary tour of Rent. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure there will be a bunch more regional theater productions of it. Prayerfully, it'll see Broadway again one day. I would love that, a 30th anniversary or something. And also community shows, high school theater loves to doing it too. And I'm sure there'll be another tour someday in the near future.
When do you guys wrap up?
We end in May of 2022. Yeah, May of this year.
So you still have plenty of time.
Yeah. Couple 3 months, I think, 3-4 months.
We should point out, you know, you're no slouch. I mean, when you take a look at the bio, you've sung background for Estelle, Andrea Bocelli, Aretha Franklin. We're giving you some RESPECT.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I really don't know what to say. Well, yeah, that's funny. Like I was saying with, I'll talk about Aretha. So the Pope came to the US, I think back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, sometime 2017, 2018. And I was asked to be a part of this like huge choir they were putting together for all of these artists that were coming. So Andrea Bocelli was there. You had Sister Sledge, people who sing "We Are Family." And then all of a sudden, they're just like, "Oh, by the way, Aretha's coming too. So can we just like learn a couple songs, put it together, and she's just gonna sing?" So I'm sitting there like, "Wait, are we just like bypassing this? Like Aretha's coming?" So it was really an amazing experience. We got to meet her during a rehearsal with her, and you know, typical Aretha. Her trademark is having her purse, and nowadays having that coat with her, but having her purse, putting it on the piano, and always having it with her because she always did that to make sure, like she got paid first before she even sang ever, and always wanted to get paid in cash, so that way she would be like set, she'd know what was going on, and would put it in a purse and put the purse on the piano just so no one stole it. So she puts the purse on the piano and then starts howling and singing like crazy. Amazing Grace, and she sang Nessun Dorma too, which was really beautiful. And yeah, it was just a beautiful experience. Like getting to sing with her for that occasion was mind-blowing. I still don't think that it actually happened. Like I feel like I was not there, but yeah, that happened. I was there.
Now, with having such a wonderful repertoire of vocal talents that you have, do you see yourself continuing with musical theater, or do you see down the line doing other things with your vocal talents?
Being young right now, I think it's important for me to be as versatile as possible. And then, you know, further down the line, kind of find my niche, as it will. But musical theater is going to be a huge part of my life for a minute. I enjoy the craft. I enjoy the community that it breeds. I enjoy just telling a story to this capacity, like on the daily, all the time, and traveling to different cities and telling it. Much like it's much more different than, you know, say an opera that, you know, with operas, like you'll do an opera one night and then a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, you'll do it again. As opposed to Broadway and musical theater where you're out 8 shows a week. And same thing with voice performance. Like you'll have a concert here, maybe a recital there, but nothing like nothing as consistent as like an 8-show week, or like nothing as brilliant or masterful, I think, as a musical theater piece in general. So that's what I have. And I'm just so excited to keep diving in and keep doing it.
And kind of going back to Rent, it's interesting timing of the tour coming into our area because Tick Tick Boom became so beloved recently because of the release of the film. So have you seen the Tick Tick Boom, whether in play itself or the movie version that came out?
I've seen the movie. Yeah, I saw the movie. Was elated to see original Rent cast members in there, like Daphne Rubega, Adam Pascal, and so many like amazing, wonderful faces in the community too. That was exciting, and just hearing Jonathan's story, like told through the lens of Lin-Manuel Miranda, but also the lens of Jonathan himself, was astounding to me. I thought it was just beautiful work. Just beautiful work.
Yeah, I mean, if the theater community doesn't know that we're talking to Jonathan Larson, who wrote Rent, unfortunately passed away the night before the opening of Rent off Broadway. So never got to see the work have the huge success that he always was hoping for in his life. But I think something about seeing that played through, you know, like there's one thing hearing the fact and then watching the story and seeing the struggle. It's so heartbreaking, all the music that could have been.
Yeah. Another piece of the responsibility I think that we as a cast have towards cast, crew, everybody involved. We all have that responsibility to Jonathan to continue his legacy, to keep his legacy alive. I think he was so young. I think he had so many brilliant things ahead, like in front of him. You know, his mentor was Sondheim for a little bit before he died, and also R.I.P. Sondheim. Oh my God, that was like we actually tributed him for our show one night, but that's a different story. I can let you guys know that later. But yeah, just like making sure he is kept alive, because I'm sure there was so much more work in him that he wanted to give out. There was more work in him. I'm not sure of it. I know that there was. And just keeping that story alive, and also the memories of his friends. When we say things like, when we do the song, Will I Lose My Dignity? Or when we do this song, you know, when we do the scene support group, where we're actually saying the real names of his friends who actually passed from COVID. I mean, from AIDS. It's just beautiful to make sure that these memories of these people and this legacy that he left stays with us for as long as humanly possible.
You know, and it's interesting when you were talking about that, but if you can hear the seeds of the music for Rent in Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, so many things. I was like, just even like that scene where they had everyone standing in a line and singing.
Yeah.
I was literally, that's Rent. I was like, Season of Love, and I was about to sing that.
Yes.
So many like parallels. It was
so when you said who knows what would have come, there was so much more, you know. It was an aneurysm that nobody knew, and I guess there's a suspicion that that it was Marfan syndrome that may have triggered it. So it was an underlying condition that nobody knew until he got called home way too early.
Way too early
for everybody. Yeah. But that, and there's a connection to the Adirondack Theater Festival up here. He knew the folks who, Banta, and I can't think of the other fellow's name, early on was pitched. He had pitched the work up here. I'll get through that and we can post, but that's part of the, I'll call it the folklore up here, but it's, you know, listen, doesn't everybody in musical theater know everybody else? Or they know somebody else who knows somebody else, like, oh, Shafiq, don't you remember, you know, my mother's sister had him stop by when he came through on the tour and they had dinner, you know.
Exactly. True. That's how it goes.
You know, it's one very happy word. So what are you looking to do after this? Are you already, is it going to go back, finish up at Temple, or are you looking to book something and eventually finish up?
Well, my main thing is do what I can while I can. So since I'm still out of school, I've been auditioning for things. It's now audition season for, you know, musical theater people right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
just auditioning, putting out feelers, and seeing what comes. Worst case scenario, I get absolutely nothing. And then, you know, I do have the opportunity to go back to school and finish up. I do want to get my master's so I can eventually go, you know, be a professor somewhere at somebody's school and, you know, teach these kids how to sing.
And they'll listen, you because you've already got the chops to be listened to.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, but that's definitely the goal, just to like put feelers out, audition now, and if in March, if I don't hear anything, then I'll definitely go and return back to school, and then come back out after I'm finished and keep doing the thing.
This is not an equity tour, though, is it?
No, it is non-ec. Yeah, it is non-ec. It's all the unfortunate faces.
I love it because I'm non-ec.
I am.
You're yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
just said a lot.
Enough said.
Well, the reason I asked because you had said you knew the first audition you went on was, you know, for you know, so you've got some points.
That was just an audition, so I don't have points.
But right. You're getting paid, so you could join if you want.
Exactly. Now they've changed the rules, so now I can definitely, join if I wanted to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We won't ask if you're going to.
Yeah. The goal is to, just FYI, the goal is to, definitely.
Just a sneaking suspicion.
Yeah.
We go down some roads that you never know where they're going to lead to.
I will say, Worklight Productions is probably one of the best non-union production companies that you can work with. I have heard horror stories about non-actors, and it kind of made me like a little wary of joining this one, because I was like, oh no, I don't want to, I don't want to go through what they went through. But this is probably one of the best experiences that you can have on a non-actor, which, I think is just lovely. So
fantastic.
I'm grateful.
Yeah. Grateful. And how different is each theater that you go to? Is it pretty jarring to be on a new stage every couple days, or is it just like, this is what we're working with today?
I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm like, why don't I get like, why it feels like when I hop into the theater, it feels like I'm just like, it's the same place that I've been all this time. Like, the chairs may look different, backstage may look different, but when we hop on the set, it's the same set that we're touring with. And most of the time, like, the set takes up the entire stage, so we really don't see like what's under there. Like, sometimes for instance, there'll be like a wooden floor on some stages, and then there'll be like a black floor on others. But those are the only small, minute differences that you'll notice on stage. Because when I get on stage, it's like, okay, I'm home now. So from city to city, it's honestly dependent upon the audiences, whether or not I know I'm in a different city or not. Because some audiences are more, conservative, and then the other audiences are like, like screaming at every number, So it's pretty exciting, but I noticed that I would never notice that we changed, venues or cities. Yeah.
Is there one city in particular that was super fun to perform in so far?
What city were we just in that we just had a grand time at? We opened in Chicago, and Chicago was...
That's where I'm from. So.
Chicago was it. Chicago was it. The audiences knew that we were just opening up, so of course they were like coming out in droves. And then just the audiences were beautiful. Like, everyone was so excited to have theater back. First of all, we were like inaugurating Chicago's theater community coming back after COVID. So, it was all just a beautiful experience. There have been other cities, though I cannot name them all right now. We've been to so many, but
you'll remember Schenectady because you spoke to us before you got there.
Yes. Schenectady. I've always known Schenectady because I'm like, first of all, the name is so catchy. Like, I'll know what Schenectady feels like when I go.
And once you learn how to spell it, you never forget.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. I still can't spell it. I still cannot spell it to this day.
Well, we've reached the point of our show where we're going to move into our lightning round. It's called the close-up segment, which is just lots of questions about you, just kind of rapid fire. So, Shafiq, when was the moment that you knew I have to do theater?
When I was in 10th grade and I auditioned for Beauty and the Beast. Well, no, when they announced that they were doing Beauty and the Beast, and I was like, okay, I have to audition. I auditioned and I got it. And the experience of playing Gaston as a sophomore in a creative and performing arts high school, a prestigious creative and performing arts high school, was crazy to me. And it let me know that I had some sort of talent, so just use it. So that's when specifically I got the bug. I did like one other production before, but that was it.
Is there a specific show that or a performance that you've seen that really inspired you, that you hold really dear to your heart?
Yes, and I can't think of it right now, which is so embarrassing.
That's my life, so it's okay. I'm always going, you know the one, he's got the long hair, you know what I'm saying.
I think the one that's been just on my mind lately and recently is hearing Cynthia Erivo sing "I'm Here." I absolutely adore her voice and her talent, and the way she tells that story, I think, is just absolutely beautiful. She really like rips herself and rips her persona off, like rips Cynthia Erivo off and puts on Celie, And I think it's just a beautiful moment for the theater community in general, but especially the Black theater community, to see that type of representation and raw storytelling that we do on a normal basis, you know, in our community, was just a beautiful moment, and it will be cemented in my mind for probably the rest of my life. Yeah.
And I know Tom Collins is probably a dream role, but do you have other ones in your back pocket of, ooh, one day I've got to play that role?
Yes. I would love to play Javert in Les Mis when I'm a little bit older. I would love to play Genie in Aladdin. I'd love to play Agwe in Once on This Island. And yeah, those are some of the dreams.
You're pretty good.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good resume.
Right.
Now, you are so young, but you're on such a great start to your career. So what is your advice to other people who are just starting off in terms of making your dream happen?
And I take this everywhere I go. I was in a it was a Q&A with some college students, and one of the cast members from last tour, he played Mr. J. He said, you know, there's space for everybody. And I think that resonated with me because even though I've done musical theater in the past, I'm not the typical musical theater kid. Like, I'm not your typical level of triple threat. I'm not your typical BFA in musical theater program kind of thing. But to see so many people who didn't even go to college make full-on careers off of being on Broadway, and people who didn't know how to sing or know how to read music or anything like that, is just over here playing, Phantom on Broadway or Phantom in anniversary shows and things like that. So there's space for everybody. So being in that mindset and then taking that mindset with you to these auditions, you're probably going to get more. Again, you're going to get more no's than you get yeses. But at the end of the day, don't take those no's as, the musical theater community does not want you. Take it as you're still finding your place in the musical theater community. You're still finding your niche. So yeah, there's space for everyone.
Oh, I love that.
No.
And to kind of end on a goofy note, we like to ask sometimes, what's the biggest oops that's ever happened to you, or something you've seen on stage, or something just kind of went awry?
Oh my goodness. The other day, I don't know, we were doing some dance move. Oh, we were doing La Vivo M. And my glasses are always falling off my face, like the Tom Collins, like yellow tinted glasses, always fall off my face. So this time it fell like into the lights. So I'm fishing around looking for the glasses, trying to see where they are. And I'm like falling all over the place, tripping, mind you, still doing choreo, like, the whole. I finally find them, and towards like the end of the song, and the whole time it's just a mess. Like, we're all just cackling. Like, that was probably the most recent biggest ones. I've fallen multiple times. Lines have been missed. So yeah, but that was the most recent one.
Just a quick aside. It was Martha Banter from the Adirondack Theater Festival, and several founding ATF board members were involved in the musical before it came to Broadway. I knew there was the connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, because this one went to that one's house but it's the
Right.
small world of theater. Ellen usually asks, but I'm going to ask because I see we've got barely enough time for this. When you at some point said, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to school for this. I'm going to do this for a living. Your family said, what?
That's what they said. Oh no. I was already doing it from a young age, and I was making money doing it. So they were like, listen, go do it, whatever, we'll support you. Like, you can come home whenever you need to. My mom, of course, she wanted me to be a doctor, a lawyer, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, she saw the passion that I had for what I do currently, and saw how, independent I was doing it, and how and how just responsible I was in doing it, and how it was just a great outlet for me to express myself other than literally anything else.
Yeah.
So they supported me. They had their dreams of what they wanted their son to be, of course, but right now they're loving it. They're like, you're on tour, get us tickets to your shows, we'll come. Like,
my son, the star.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Now that it's benefiting them, they're like, okay, we're all good.
Well, I can speak for all of us here in the Capital Region. You know, you'll be coming in with a great cast February 11th and 12th at Proctor's, the 25th farewell tour for this production of Rent. And you're playing Tom Collins, and can't wait to see you. And buy your tickets, come on down. Have a great time, and welcome, and thank you. We know we this came together quickly, and we're so thankful that you said yes.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And for all our listeners, check out our next episode next week. But this has been a lovely time speaking with you all. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn, and go have at it.
Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything.